Hello. I hope it's not too noisy, that I can't be in the room with the window shut, because this room kind of stinks because these little monsters. It has been quite the year. You see this? I'm fine. Everything is fine. I was going to wear a cute shirt for y'all. But then I saw this and I was like, yep, this shirt just embodies this whole year. So here I come to you to talk mainly about one author and compare her to another author. I know, you're comparing two women together. That's not very feminist. I've never really been a very good feminist. I'm sorry. But anyway, I'm going to compare these two authors because one is quantity over quality and one seems to be a little more quality and slice of life and talk about me and my experience in a fictionalized way-ish, and just how I would rather you have a Jeffrey Dahmer level of bodies in the freezer than have nothing, because there's one author that it feels like she is three things. A machine that cranks out a product. What's the product? Is it something that you don't need but you want? No, it's a store brand hairspray. That's what the product is. It has about as much hold as store brand hairspray. It smells as bad as store brand hairspray and a zillion other things. She's a machine. Now, when someone says, hey, yo, this person writes like it was written by AI, AI is created to have a little bit of a personality. This person has no personality. This person is a machine in the way that an answering machine is a machine. But let's get into it. Now, before I start ripping Kingfisher apart and everything, I'm probably going to kick this kitten out, so give me a second. I'm back. I had to brush my teeth and my hair because I looked like Hermione Granger, and my mouth felt like I had eaten a bag of sand with extra slime in it. So let's get to the little half bits that I'm going to give the books I read outside of Kingfisher and Ava Bellows. Now, don't make fun of me if you've seen the previous video and you're like, oh, Gil Bellows is the man of the moment and you had to go read his daughters. But yes, I did. Leave me alone. But let's get back to it. The first book we're going to talk about, just give a quick brief little thing to, is called Wounds of Ash, and it's by K.L. Hester. And I said I was going to get back to it in my wrap-up from last year, but I never did. But a quick overview is Aaliyah is a Wyvani, and she's magical, and she can harness other people's magic and use it against them. And then there's a guy who, I forgot what these other people are called. Even his name, I think it's Kato or something. It's been a while. And they've got to take her to this other place, and my biggest gripe of this whole book was that she didn't do anything. But if someone's coming at me with a knife and I have time to prepare, my dumbass might hesitate a little bit. But if I have a gun, you know, whatever. I can't run, but I'm not gonna just sit there and take my death. And that's what she acted like she was just gonna sit there and be like, oh well, guess I die. That was my main gripe with the book. But other than that, it was pretty good. I think I rated it 4 stars on Amazon. Whatever. Then there was My Everything by Daria M. Paz. This book was nearly 600 pages of a guy named, I think, Dominic, and a girl named Kaylee talking back and forth about how hot they are for each other. Any action in this book happened off screen. It is a mafia romance that is light on the mafia and light on the romance. You cannot substitute one of the other hornily waxing poetic about how much they want to bone in a place of romance. And it was insta love. It was like, stop. Now, like I said, I'd rather you have a boatload of bodies in your fridge than none. And the guy, Cato, or whatever his name was in the fantasy book, dead wife, dead child. Other one, Dominic's wife and child, dead. Falls in love with, see, at least Aaliyah had a personality. Kaylee had no personality. If you're into that, look it up. I might link a lot of this stuff. I'm not sure, just to be nice. But 3 stars. Everything happened off screen. Dispatched of the big bad off screen. She went in and rescued somebody, and then she was rescued off screen. There was another one though. Let's talk about this one that I actually enjoyed, that I'd probably give 4.5 stars. It's called Two Truths, and it's by Evelyn McDermott, I think. I'm part of this thing on Instagram called Indie Boomtown. I've been waiting for my turn for about 2 years, and it's never gonna happen. And I try my best when I have money to buy the books and give them a review. I bought one called Nicholas Eternal, but just the way the first few pages were written got under my skin, so I usually don't 1-star independent authors, but it was so muddled and cloudy and whatever, so I had to 1-star that book. I was the only one. I'm out here standing up for my 1-star review against all the people that are kissing the author's ass. But Two Truths is about a woman who's an author. Before she's about to go to this big book meeting with the local equivalent of Good Morning America, we have one called Good Day Utah, and sign some copies and stuff. She sees her husband kissing someone through a bunch of foliage in a restaurant called The Jungle or whatever. So she leaves. And then later her husband dies. And then it's like this journey that she goes on with her friend. And I was under the impression that this was magical realism. Maybe, just maybe, the promptings of help me out, ghost husband. I think her name was Sadie. Let's say his name was John. I remember that. Boring ass name, John. Anyway, help me out, John. Help me find this person. Spoilers, he was not having an affair. He had a sister he didn't know about. And I really liked that there was this hoity-toity upper crust type of lady living in the upper echelon, that when she went to go see John at his dental practice in the lower echelon, she was just like, ew, the poor. And I liked that there was actual growth, character growth. So that's why this one, even though I felt it went a little long and there is one silly little thing, the kiss was this girl apparently finding out her brother is her brother for the first time, went to kiss him on the cheek, and he turned at the wrong time. And then she accidentally kissed him on the lips. I've never kissed one of my brothers on the cheek, even when I was a child, and I have 5 of 5. Numbers are hard. But I would never, okay? That's just weird. Trying to think if there was another book I read. I read an ass load of Kingfisher books in the last little while. I finished Winter House. It was kind of like Hogwarts meets something else that I can't remember, but it's about this girl. Don't remember her name. She goes to Winter House. Winter House is a hotel. There's mysteries. There's these weirdos that have a big box. They're all goth and shit. And the box contains the remains of an ancestor from the person who owns Winter House, and they bring her back to life. And then there's a girl, and I don't remember her name, and I want to say Sadie, but I'm just whipping out Sadie for everything. It's not her name, though. It's not Sophia either. But she finds this cool book. It's like something, a guide for children. And the person has been looking for that book for a long time. But it's like Sword in the Stone. It chose her. I was really liking it, but I know it's for kids. But she just immediately defeats the big bad by saying, I choose the good, and then suddenly everything's fine and dandy. If I can think of the other books I have read this year, I will let you know. I swear, I finished one that I've been working on a lot. I do believe I already talked about Jenna Moressi's book, The Eve, the Awakening, on my last, because I thought I finished that last year. But you can go find a review of that somewhere else. Kingfisher, let's get into it. I had an Audible credit, and I used it to get The Hollow Places. The Hollow Places is about this oddities museum. There's a secret door that leads to a secret world. Her and a guy from Florida go, and they see all this creepy shit. They come back. There's this beaver, this stuffed beaver that the people from the secret world wanted. And so this wooden boat guy came back, and she's like, take the beaver and go. Now, Kingfisher is a quantity over quality type of person. I really liked The Hollow Places. I still do a 4-star review on The Hollow Places. However, she does not know how to stick a landing to save her life. So the local book club says the book that's been selected is A House with Good Bones. And I was like, oh my god, it's on the Libby app. I can get it. I can listen to the audiobook. Yay me. This character is like a white Velma, the new Velma, that's been canceled. Grandma is a racist that had a Civil War photo that they didn't shut the F up about for almost over half the book. The audiobook narrator sort of made the Velma thing a little more pronounced because her speaking voice for the character, I'm going to call her Sam, sounded like Mindy Kaling's voice. And this woman, the character, would stop the prose to talk about how hard it is to get medical blah blah because you're fat. I'm fat. I'm trying to not be fat. What I do at night is I try and get my step goal, and I sometimes get it, but I don't feel like I really worked hard, and sometimes I have to do the model walk, which I've learned to do, which is not going to help me one bit, but I do believe I have lost 40 pounds. I was at like 20, because I was at like 290. Now I'm at 270. I don't want to be this fat anymore. Now, here's where me and this character differ. I'm going to say with all of my chest, and apparently I have big tits, that when you are sitting by yourself eating an entire pizza, a whole cake, a 12-pack of hot dogs, drinking a 12-pack of pop, a whole bag of Halloween candy, you are not in love with yourself. I did not get to this size by loving myself. So maybe I have some triggering stuff regarding fat acceptance and body positivity, and how once you start going to the gym, or you say, I'm actually going to drink a lot less Dr. Pepper, those people stop talking to you. But anyway, we're going to go on to it. Sam is on, so she's an archaeologist, right? She's about 26. She was going to a dig. They found human remains. There's going to be an investigation, blah, 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 blah. She has to go somewhere, so she goes to her mom's for a while because she already sublet her apartment. Pretty good so far. Pretty interesting. Her mom had colorful you know, kind of like me, but a little more. Her personality was all over the walls, painted plum and pink and, you know, many colors that would probably look at passion fruit color. Suddenly it's beige. And then Sam starts thinking about her grandma. Now her grandma made her hold like a rose and made her bleed so that the roses could taste her. And her grandma talked about the underground children and how if you don't behave, they're going to come get you. So Sam is really tired of her grandma's influence being there. And there's never an explanation as to why her grandma's influence is back in the house, even though they've been gone for like over 20 years at this point. She just is. So Sam, in all her wisdom, is like, I am going to remove this thing from the garden and take these. I think I rated it 3 stars, would be 3.5. But ultimately, the grandma comes back to life. Grandma is made of roses. And they defeat Grandma, and then Grandma's like, you fucked up. The house gets swallowed into a sinkhole. Here come the underground children. The witch lady says, it's up to you, Sam. And Sam's like, I'm not good at anything except whining about being fat. And then Sam gets down, she grabs the vines, and with her magical Sam power, sends the underground children back to the hell world. Pretty decent. I just kind of wish the audiobook narrator would have adapted a little less annoying voice. And that maybe, just maybe, there wasn't all this rhetoric about fat people. And I'm fat too, and I get it. People don't look at you the same. I used to be so hot, but I'm not anymore. I don't want to be fat. I want to have one chin. But that's that. Now, let's get on to the second one I read. Minor Mage. Interesting enough, there's a drought. And then Leroy, I can never remember any of these people's names, is going out, and he and his possum or something, some sort of animal that's usually not a, oh, it's an armadillo. Not a very cuddly animal. His armadillo go to the rain blades to fetch the rain. Along the way, they run into a guy named Arturo. That's not his real name, but it is today. And Arturo's one skill is that he does this weird shit with dead people's bodies, and he finds their bones and stuff and turns them into a harp, and then the harps start screaming when they meet the person that killed them. So him and Arturo get kidnapped by some ravengers, or whatever word you want to use. And then here comes the mayor of the town that killed whatever body part Arturo's carrying. So they get away. And then they're going to the Rain Blades. They make it. And the big chubby woman queen of the Rain Blades says, I want your powers, to Leroy, the main character. And Leroy's like, no, I may not have. Leroy's been trying to go invisible a lot. Leroy actually accidentally killed someone because he kept tying their clothes and tying their beard and just tying their shoelaces together until he fell from the tree. I don't remember how he did it. I think he did some sort of pelting rocks kind of thing on the poor guy, and then he fell from the tree, and then Leroy was like, oh my god, I just killed some dude. And I liked this one. I would say 4 stars. But anyway, Arturo says, you can have my magic. I don't want it. It's annoying. And then they go back. It rains. I think they're float back on a cloud. It's all good. Then we get to, I'm going to go in order of how much I liked them to how little I liked them. So Thorn's Edge was interesting. It was a lot like Sleeping Beauty, but darker. There's a frog or a toad, I don't know, and she is watching this castle, and she has the ability to turn into a woman, but she prefers to stay as a toad. And there's this guy that comes and he's like, "Oh, fair maiden, let down your hair," or something. And then she's like, "No, no, no, you need to get out of here. You need to go." And like I said about T. Kingfisher not sticking any landing, basically there was a horrid little brat that killed some dogs, that killed somebody, and then reanimated them and made them dance. And then Toad Spring, or whatever the heck her name is, goes to the king, and the king's like, "I will not kill my own daughter. Let's have somebody else do it." So Toad Spring says, "What if we just make her sleep and sleep and sleep?" And then the king and the queen and all the subjects leave, and she's just in this dilapidated castle. And honestly, I can't even really remember the ending. It was that forgettable. They wake her up. Oh yeah, they wake her up, and then it's this, "You could have done that 1,000 years ago, my dude." This little girl goes and she jumps for Toad Spring. Toad Spring turns into a toad because she's a woman, and then a little girl falls over the cliff and dies. And I'm like, you couldn't have done that hundreds of years ago. But anyway, that was Thorn's Edge. It was okay. Trying to think if there's another one I read this year, but then we get to Clocktar Boys, and it's Clocktar in name only. There's a woman who, when she feels, I don't know her name, let's call her Denise, but when she feels really emboldened to do something, either something she has to do or she's in danger, overwhelming scent of rosemary. But overwhelming sense of rosemary to a point where it's about to knock her out. Now, one thing I will say about T. Kingfisher is that she works better in first person, and I wish she'd just stay in first person because we are so in these characters' thoughts and in the italics. And I don't know, the girl's editing choices baffle and confound me, because there will be a non-italicized word right in the middle of all the italicized words, and I'm just like, this is not how that works. But we were so into these two people's thoughts. But she sees this hot tall guy, and he was possessed by a demon, and this demon killed people, like a couple of nuns and a priest and a nurse. So that's why he's in prison. The demon is dead. She says, "Want to go on a suicide mission?" And they're not really clear. I have no idea what the quest was. I called it on Amazon a fetch quest with almost no quest and absolutely no fetch. Where were they going? I don't know. I feel like T. Kingfisher is a pantser that's not wearing pants. I hope that makes sense, because I'm not going to explain further. Where am I going with this? But there's these people, these steampunk men that are made of clock parts, cogwheels and everything. And I'm like, that sounds pretty cool. So there's a guy named Brenner who Denise used to be involved with, used to have a relationship with, capital R. And then there's the Sir Caliban with a C, or it could be Saliban, which sounds stupid, so I'm going to call him Caliban. He and Denise and Brenner all go on a quest. I don't know if there's a fourth guy. Oh yeah, there's a fourth guy who is a goody two-shoes guy, so we're just going to call him Bob. But anyway, him, goody two-shoes, and Bob and Denise and Brenner go on a quest. And it's not even really clear where they're going. They're just told they're supposed to go to the big city, the big shining city. And they're supposed to go this way. And then there's nothing happening. And then the rosemary scent happens, and she's like, "We gotta get on the road now." And then the Clocktar Boys go by. And I'm like, well, okay. This is the one and only time we've ever seen them. And then she loses control of her horse in the rain, and she just about goes over a cliff. And then the guy saves her and the horse, and she cuddles up next to him and lays next to him all night. Then she caresses his face and looks at him longingly, and he says, maybe some other time. So she has a tantrum and gets freaked out because he won't fuck her. I hate this, because if it were reversed, if he were having a tantrum that she wouldn't fuck him, he would be a predator. Stop doing this. I mean, I guess I should be at least a little impressed because none of T. Kingfisher's other characters have a goddamn personality, but whatever, it's fine. It's fine, I'm fine. She get captured by some weird deer people. And I don't know what their objective was. Oh, they were trying to lead Caliban there, so that whatever demon was possessing the leader of the deer people would possess him, or whatever, or she could have his demon and bring it back to life. And anyway, they get free from the deer people. They see a tree, and then the priest guy really wants to, no, it's a stone, it's like a stone giant looking thing. The priest guy really wants to know something. He tries to put this thing in all sorts of places, like the giant troll's butt or something. Not quite sure, unclear, can't remember. But I think they have to forego that and continue on to the city. Then they get to the city and the book ends, and I'm just like, I don't know if I want to read the rest. I got so annoyed with this character because the way that she writes, with the exception of that whole, which actually, what is wrong with a lot of YouTube female reviewers that have no problem, like I said with Little Thieves, girl holding a knife to the guy's neck, it's like, you don't actually love, calm the fuck down, okay? Why is it that we mistake being an unhinged psycho for girl power? God, do we need Jerry Halliwell to come back to the fucking mainstream and get in our, our brains and make us learn what girl power actually is? Because fuck me, this is done. I'm done swearing, I'm fine. I tried to read Paladin's Strength, but something told me, you need a break. You're having the most trouble dissociating from reality. You need a break. So I decided, oh, you know what? I'll read Ava Bellows' book. Bellows's, I don't fucking care. And it's about a girl named Maggie. I just finished it a few days ago, so I remember the names. Who meets a guy named Rob on a boat and having an affair because Rob's married to a girl named Ingrid. And she's been gone for a while. And the marriage is falling apart. Him and Maggie fall in love. Ingrid finds out. There's this. Now, the human element I was talking about and the bits of her that she put into the story in a fictionalized kind of way is, don't you fucking judge me. Sometimes I creep Ava's Instagram. And there was a boy, and this is in the dedication, so I'm not entirely spaz. We can say that word in America, leave me alone. She loved a boy named Henry, and I guess Henry passed away. She did say, wherever you are, float, which, is like another way of saying fly high that people say when you pass away. But whatever, it's fine. So there's a boy named Jackson who had a substance abuse problem, and then he broke up with her, and only a little while later he had passed away, probably due to his substance abuse problem. And your first love always, Sheryl Crow said the first cut is the deepest. That was about that bicycle guy, Lance Armstrong. Louis Armstrong. Yes, Louis Armstrong played trumpet, I think, and then Neil Armstrong was on the moon. This is hard. But anyway, back to it. She falls in love. Her dad is an actor, like he is in real life, and he left her mom for some other women. So towards the end, she calls her dad because she has fucked up and ruined a marriage. And her dad says, well, I loved your mom, but I wasn't in love with your mom, and I left long before. I'm sorry, sweetie, but you're more like me than you realize. And of course, I pictured Gil doing this. I mean, she doesn't describe him, but if you know, you know. Whatever. I don't even know if I can't remember if her dad's had a name or not. But there's other people involved. There's her friend Danny and her boyfriend Craig. And Danny doesn't approve of what she's doing, but still gets out of the way and lets her see Rob in their apartment while Ingrid's home. And Rob does tattoos. He even tattooed her dad. Did a portrait of her face, her and her sister's face. Her sister's name is Pearl, on her dad's arm. I don't remember the girlfriend's name, and I'm trying to say Gil's wife's name, but that's not it. Anyway, let's just call her Tammy. Tammy is really weird around Maggie and everything, but yeah, there's a lot of players involved. She calls mom, and mom is like, I can't speak to you right now. I need to get off the phone before I say something that hurts your feelings. And the whole story is this long confessional that she's writing to Ingrid. So the you is Ingrid. And in the end, she doesn't actually send the letter. She says it won't provide you with closure. It won't make you feel better. It won't make you feel worse. I don't know how it'll make you feel, but I'm not ready to send it. And Maggie felt like a real person. She went back to smoking because she'd been dealing with a lot of shit. She'd had a empty, boring relationship with a DJ. She's writing from her perspective, from growing up as a little Nepo baby. Now, I want to say something. I liked this. Would I have read it if I didn't like her dad in the movies he's in? I'm gonna tell you right now, probably not. But I'm glad that she was able to publish this book and have it kind of be out there, and she used her Nepo baby privileges because I enjoyed it. It was like different. I try and read my friends' books and read books of people I like, which is why I stopped reading T. Kingfisher, because I don't want to torture myself. I don't want to be one of those people, especially with 18 fucking subscribers, that says, I read every T. Kingfisher book, so you don't have to. I don't want to be one of those people. I'm going to check my phone and see what other books I have read this year. And then I'm going to wrap this up. I forgot a book. I forgot a T. Kingfisher book. 9 Goblins. It's very obviously about 9 goblins. And there's 2 twins, and they finish each other's sentences. And then the girl, I think her name's Sarge, she slaps one of them in the face to teach them, gotta be quicker than that. And I'm like, why are all your characters dickheads? Now, let me get real quick to, okay, T. Kingfisher, I believe, is a book reviewer. Please do not go comment on her video. A book reviewer along the vein of Reads with Rachel, A Little Bit Mads, Julian Greystoke, and Savvy Writes Books. Those 2 are probably besties, and they Skype often. I don't know. 4. Goddamn, I'm such an idiot. And you know, thank you, Rachel, for caring about somebody who has been at a couple thousand followers for over 10 years. That's thoughtful of you, honestly. I'll give you that. But I believe T. Kingfisher is perfect for them because she never puts a body in the refrigerator. She never has a complicated female character that has any flaws outside of just being a bitch. There's no female gaze. There's no male gaze. These 2 are just in love because the plot says so. Do they have any tender moments? Yeah. She is so safe. Like I said, She's a product. She's hairspray. She's hairspray that has no hold, and it hasn't been tested on animals. So thank you for being a hairspray that hasn't been tested on animals. Animal testing is fucked up. But she is so safe. She's forgettable. There was no description. Like, I know one fantasy book is another fantasy book, but maybe just a little bit. Like, trees bereft of leaves closed in around them, making the trail nigh impossible to traverse. This is a lot of words. They had to be careful, or they would have twisted an ankle, as every root, rock, and pothole or whatever sought to hinder them on their journey. Not exactly like that, but doesn't that just sound a little bit better than they walked through the forest and there was a lot of rocks and trees in the way? And that is almost like the dead flat prose. Stop trying to just churn stuff out and just give a fuck. Give a fuck. I realized I didn't say too much about 9 goblins. So here we are. 9 goblins is obviously about 9 goblins, and they're going to the front because the other beings, magical beings, have been at war for a long time now. There's a lot of magical beings in this book. There's humans, and then there's goblins and gnomes and a couple other things, wizards and mages. Now, she just uses the term people for everything. Her goblins felt a little more like people than the people. So the goblins are charging ahead, screaming, ready to go. And then suddenly a wizard opens a portal, and then they pass out. And then these goblins have got to go find a way to get back. So they see something like a will-o'-the-wisp or something that leads them to this town where everybody's dead. And there's a little monster child. It's the second book with a monster child. There's a little monster child who has killed everybody. So the wizard comes back and he's like, this was a bit overkill, don't you think so, Oksana? And then the goblins go home. Now, the goblins did feel more like humans than the other humans. Maybe 2 stars. Her worlds don't feel actualized. They don't feel developed. They don't feel like she took any time. Just like I said, churning out, churn it out, churn it out. Hi, here in bed with Wishbone and Rufus. I forgot I read another one. It is called What Feasts at Night. And basically, soldier with PTSD experiences sleep paralysis. And there's a dead body under a rock. And then there's this German lady that's like, I am so tired of this happening to my son. Because the sleep paralysis demon is trying to take the big brute guy and whatever. And there's a dead guy whose house is open now. And that's where the sleep paralysis demon lives. And the German woman's like, take the soldier, give it to the soldier. And I don't quite remember. I think they get the rock, they move the rock, and then they properly bury the lady that's giving the soldier that already has PTSD the sleep paralysis. I was so bored I forgot it. So anyway, that's the other one. I swear I'm done adding more. I churned out 2 books this year. I churned out 3 books last year. I gave a fuck. You want to know what book I created that I released on June 28th? Buried Deep. What's this about? It's about 4 people. I'm going to read you the blurb. Henry, Veronica, Jory, and Rick all want something. Henry needs to overcome his alcoholism and heal from his past trauma. Veronica wants an apology from her father, Rick. Jory wants appreciation from his wife and family. and Rick wants to reconnect with his children and heal their relationship. Tensions are exacerbated when Veronica develops feelings for Henry, Rick's secrets start bubbling to the surface, and Jory is targeted by his deceased mother's nefarious friends. The deeper they dig seeking peace, the less they find. Now, somebody told me that the blurb was not very interesting, and I would agree with them, but I suck at blurbs. I got this cover off of Canva. Just something about it. It said that it needed to be the cover. And it's about their 4 lives and how they intersect and everything. It is the longest book I have ever read. The paperback version is 563 pages long. And I had to get a bigger trim size because this book was so long. 412 pages. But it's all about their secrets from their past all coming back. They all intersect. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Hardcover is now less expensive than paperback because Amazon says, fuck the prices you want. We're gonna do what we want. The cover isn't quite all the way to the edge, but I don't know. That's why it's white instead of black. You know where I am. I am published wide now, so this is available more places than just Amazon. This is a copy I got from Draft to Digital. What I love about Draft to Digital is that they do this and do the page numbers, and I don't have to. I just have to fix the margins, and it's that yellow cream paper, and it folds a lot better. Like, let me show you this. Okay, just 1 minute. Let me tell you what it's about. It's about a girl who her father was in a vegetative state for like 10 years, and when she's 13, he dies. And then her mother says, do you want to move to somewhere else? And she's like, nah, really, why don't we stay here? And she's like, okay, we're gonna do it. And then she moves her to the small town of Lake in Kansas, and which is a real place. I'll get to the other stuff in a second. And then she meets Brooklyn. He's this gruff Cuban man, and he more or less becomes a father figure to her when her mother just runs away one day. This is Chenille. Chenille is an erotic thriller. It's about a girl who was in prison for 10 years for manslaughter, and now she's released to a halfway house where she meets and falls in love with Roddy Gunther. Yes, erotic book. Called the guy Roddy. Might as well have just named him Penis McPenis. This and this take place in my fictional town of Purpose. That's a mix of Gotham, Dark City from that movie Dark City, Gary, Indiana, kind of a titch of Kingman, Arizona, and you gotta listen, gentrified 12 Monkeys, New York. So if you're into a vibe of lots of family drama, you don't mind multiple POV or age gaps because Henry is 18 years older than Veronica, and you get the end, because this, if you read the book and you fully understand it, then you know who this is. If you're into that, then that's your thing. If you're into dark, erotic, takes place in a halfway house, crime thriller, this is your one. And if you're not into either of those and you want something a little lighter but still kind of heavy with the family drama, this is your one. These are the only ones I have. I do not have the Claudius and Tessa series on me. I had a copy of The Lord, the Devil, and Him, but I sold it to a coworker. I gave him the friends and family discount. You can find them anywhere. Just look up my name. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I just recommend that if you want these books, buy them and read them yourself. I might link them, I might not. I'll see you later.